I may have thoughts on how things are delivered, but ultimately it doesn't actually matter what I think. What matters is the people on the ground, that they've got systems in place which work for them. But I think the ability to step back and to give the floor to the leadership and the frontline healthcare workers to train each other was hugely important. And that also when I spoke, so on the occasions where I was perhaps helping with training or talking about the project, to be able to truthfully say, this project is for you, so that you can serve your community. And when you speak to a nurse like that, or some technician or whoever, a healthcare worker, and it's true, I found that to be very, very powerful. And I think that was, I think they sensed it was true. And I think that perhaps nobody, I don't know, I don't want to overstate, I'm sure there's, other brilliant projects going on, but I think that, a lot of the trials, it's a separate team. So I think to go to, people working in very challenging circumstances on a daily basis, I can't quite imagine what that's like day in, day out, to try and give the power back so that they serve their communities. I think that's a really important discourse and very powerful when it's truthful.
What else have I learned? Trusting the process. I think I'd kind of learned that from my PhD, but I think, I guess when you do it once and it goes really well, you could think, oh, it's a fluke. But you do need to trust the process. And I do now trust in the process. Relinquishing the power to other people, it can be difficult, but actually if you trust in it, yeah, you will get there. And
I think the thing was that the more we spoke to people, the more I realized that we had so much to learn from them, and that they were like the experts in terms of the practicalities of doing this intervention, and making sure that it would be acceptable and relevant to them. We had so much to learn from them, because we could come in with all these ideas about, oh, let's do this intervention stuff, but actually if it's not going to work on the ground, then there's no point. So I think I hope that we gave them the space to be true active partners in that process. So one thing that I've really learned from this project is because it's development work and it was really like starting from scratch, we're developing this intervention, is the length of time we took to really build those relationships with people. And actually, when I was listing our methods, and I'm saying we did interviews, focus groups, actually most of the work was engagement work over like a 2-year period.
I really learned that it's okay to be very flexible about how you do it. You spend, obviously I'm very early in my research career, and you spend a lot of time trying to learn how to do the methods the right way, learn the exact method you should do things with. And I think it's nice to know there is some flexibility there about that. I think it's sort of learning all about how that's actually something you should embrace in co-design, and not something that is a limitation to the method at all, as long as it's done well.
I kind of be comfortable with being uncomfortable, I suppose, without sounding cheesy, like that you're going to get it wrong, but being open about the fact that you're learning and that you're on a journey, and and that's okay. And I think because it's all part of the process, and that it's really not just to really go out and try and find the people who were not normally heard and who are kind of easy to ignore rather than hard to reach. I think that's important.
I've learnt to be much more open-minded. I think to definitely leave my assumptions, to one side.
One of the things I've learned is that we people bring different skills to the table, and you can't, as an individual, do everything all by yourself. Complex questions require a team of people with different experiences to answer them. So I guess I've learned the value of working with diverse teams and with diverse groups of people.
I have learnt to not prejudge the outcome. I think one of the things for me, and a real temptation when leading a co-design project, is to feel like you know what people are going to want before you've engaged in that co-design process. Trust in the process and trust in people's ability to bring their authentic self to that process as well, and that they will bring some really amazing ideas to that process, and what will come out of it will be a much richer end product than something that you could have thought of on your own, or even, you know, a smaller group of you could have thought of on your own.
We're asking them to share so much about themselves. I think we have to give a bit of ourselves as well in that space. So they said to me, you're asking us to share about ourselves. We need to know about you. Why are you doing this study? Who are you? What's your interest here? And they were like, we need to know who you are. Can we trust you with our stories and with our kind of expertise or insights? And and I was quite honest about my own motivations, myself as well. And I think that really was important as well.